when I saw that a lot of these migrants or immigrants were being bused to various places around the nation, which were mainly sanctuary cities. And for those of you who don't know what a sanctuary city is basically a location that allows immigrants to come into their city. That's basically what it is. And all of them were pretty much coming from the border. Abbott, or as I say, Governor Wheels down in Texas, basically bust them to different sanctuary cities. DC being one of them. Now, I'm not a resident of DC, but I live relatively close to DC. So I'm frequent DC whenever I have to go there. And it doesn't take me long to get there either. And one of the questions I had asked when I learned that they were busing them to this area is, where are they going to put them? What's about to happen? What's going on? Well, as you can see right here from this screenshot that you see, we see what they're doing when it comes to the schools. It says DC schools expected to enroll migrant children. And I have a feeling that's not all that's about to happen. This is just dealing with the schools and the kids. But something else is going to be happening as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article that's coming from the Washington Post. It says about 40 migrant children could enroll in DC public schools, the city schools chief said Wednesday after an announcement from the mayor that school-aged children who arrive on buses from the southern border can attend classes in the fall. We will ensure that students have access to the services needed, and if they reside in a particular area, we will ensure that they have access to their neighborhood school, Schools Chancellor Louis D. Farabee said in a news conference. Public school districts cannot bar students from enrolling based on citizenship or immigration status. I want y'all to hold on to that line right there, because this is going to segue into something else that recently occurred. So remember what I just said. Hold on to this part, right? Like, lock that into your brain. He added, DCPS has a strong welcoming center that will support migrant families who decide to enroll in the school system. The district enrolls more than 49,000 students, about 15% of whom are English learners, according to data from the DC Office of the State Superintendent of Education. More than 7,000 migrants from countries, including Venezuela and Nicaragua, have arrived in the nation's capital since April, when Texas Governor Greg Abbott, or as I call him, Governor Wheels, began sending them by bus voluntarily as a way to criticize the Biden administration's border enforcement policies. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey began a similar initiative in May. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser said the buses which arrive in the city unannounced are a politically motivated stunt. Migrants, in many cases, have fled death threats or other dangers in their home countries and are in the United States seeking asylum. Local aid groups have stepped in to receive the new migrants and have placed many of them in temporary shelters and hotels. This month, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine, who was elected independently from the mayor and controls his office's spending, announced a $150,000 grant program for nonprofits that are helping migrants. But many of these groups are strained. With some migrants sleeping outside Union Station and in parking lots, Bowser has called the situation a humanitarian crisis. This week, the Defense Department for the second time denied her request for help from the National Guard to receive the influx of migrants. We struggle with a broken immigration system in our country, and we know that cities alone cannot fix it, she wrote on Twitter. Mario Villano, a DC middle school English language teacher who was helping the migrant families through a mutual aid network, said the children are not yet formally enrolled. The enrollment papers have been passed out to families, but none of them have been completed, she added. Staff with the Language Acquisition Division for the school system plan to help the families fill out the paperwork on Thursday and will start collecting the forms at that time. Madhvi Ball, an organizer with the Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid Network in Sanctuary DMV, said it has been a struggle up to this point to get students enrolled in school. Migrants living in hotels have not been receiving the same services from the DC Department of Human Services as other unhoused people in the city, Ball added. It doesn't give them case managers. It doesn't give them any of the other things that you would need to help get them enrolled, Ball said. Moving forward, she added, the school district will need to help kids adjust to life in the classroom. One of the most important things is, of course, making sure they have access to language services. Farabee said he is confident the school system has the resources to help new migrant children settle into classrooms, including Spanish-speaking teachers and staff that can assist families with needs such as housing. So you can see what's going on here. This, like I tell you, it's going to extend past just being a school thing. It's going to extend it to other things. And look at the aid that they're receiving. They're getting all types of financial aid, lots of aid that many of the kids here don't get. Now, remember how I told you to hold on to that point that I said about them coming over? Check this out. Remember when I said in the previous article that I just read, it said that they are a strong welcoming center and that they're not going to bar students from enrolling based on citizenship or immigration status. Look at this, which was posted August 25th, 2022. This is from the mayor of D.C. Mayor Bowser in DCPS, which is DC Public Schools, remind families to take and submit COVID-19 tests before returning to school. Basically stating, if you did not take a COVID test and submit it, that your kid could not come to school. Now, mind you, this was before the allowance of migrant students or migrant kids to enroll into these schools. So my question was, do they have to take a COVID test? If we want to do this equality thing, even though I truly believe equality in certain cases and circumstances is a myth, wouldn't they have to take the test too? And they're coming from another country. They're not coming from within. They're not crossing state lines. They're crossing a whole border to come over here. So are they required to do that? That's what I'd like to know. Now, I'm not going to worry about reading this article because I have one other thing to show you. But before I show you that other thing that I wanted to show you, check this out. 40% of DC black teens will soon be barred from school because they aren't, they didn't get the thing. Because most of the DC public schools consist of a lot of black kids. So when you ask who this is affecting the most, I mean, I really didn't even have to show this, but I mean, for contextual purpose, why not? This is who it would end up affecting the most. So it's a lot of moving parts to this. It's a lot. Now, this right here is the latest. It says DC extends deadlines for student COVID-19 vaccination routine immunizations, which means they ended up pushing it back because they got a lot of pushback for that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they extended it to January of next year, like early January, or when they come back from the Christmas, New Year's break. So think of all of that, which I just mentioned. Migrant students are coming in. They're allowing them to just flock right on in and just enroll. Meanwhile, the students who are here, the kids that are here who are mainly black, can't even go to school at first, could not go to school if they didn't take the thing. And now they have decided to go ahead and extend the deadline. Mind you, it's just a deadline, which means they're still going to have to get it. And it's crazy because I'm actually looking at the news clip right now as I'm reading this, or not as I'm reading, but as I'm talking to you right now. And when they showed a bunch of kids walking in the classroom with masks on, most of those kids, with the exception of one, were black. So what does that tell you? I'm telling you, it's always an underlying thing. It's always something going on in the background. What they're basically telling you is, we're about to push your kids out and we're going to allow those kids to come in. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this. Now, I don't know about how everything's going on in any other city where my subscribers may be at. Y'all can let me know in the comments what's going on in your area. Like, first off, if you live in a sanctuary city, what's the atmosphere like for y'all right now? That's what I'd like to know, because this is where it's going. This is what's going down over here. But that's pretty much all I have for this particular story. Please comment down below what you think. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new. Hit that bell to be notified whenever I post or post or go live. All the links will be down in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.